Let the house please come to order. Please stand this afternoon as we are led in prayer. The gentleman from Lamar, Representative Tubb, will introduce our guest minister who will pray for us, and then please remain standing for the pledge. Gentleman from Lamar.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's my utmost pleasure to get to introduce a good friend of mine of many, many years from Hattiesburg, Dr. Dean Register. A little bit about Dr. Dean. He's just a communicator of the gospel and a frequent speaker at Southern Baptist Convention events. He has served Southern Baptist churches in Georgia, Louisiana, North Carolina, and Mississippi. He is founding pastor of the Wide Awake Cross Point Church in Hattiesburg. He holds academic degrees, including the Doctor of Theology degree from New Orleans Baptist Theological Seminary. He has written many devotional study notes for the Quest Study Bible. He was quoted in Reader's Digest for his statement on prayer and is a veteran writer for Lifeway Publications. He's written a book. It's reached number 4 on the Amazon's list of top 100 books. It's called The Holy Grit, so the will to persevere. So I encourage you all to look at the book. It's really good. A lot of things you may not know is that I went through a period in my life. Dr. Dean, he baptized me later in life, and I'm really proud of that. But something else, too. He married a certain couple that we have in our house, Mr. Trey Lamar and his lovely wife, Jill. So without further ado, I want to introduce my friend, Dr. Dean Register.
Thank you, Joseph. Thank you to Trey. Love Trey and Jill. It's been my privilege to have been Joseph's pastor. I'm thankful for you guys. Never underestimate the value of your work in the state of Mississippi. I'm kind of a migrant southerner. I was born in Florida, grew up in Georgia, but for 40 years I've called Mississippi home, and I'm proud to say that. As one of our founding fathers said, I've lived a long time. The longer I live, I see evidence of this convincing truth, that God ordains the affairs of men. And, as Benjamin Franklin said, the sacred writings attest that unless God builds a house, those who endeavor to build it will build it in vain. So I'm thankful that you still honor prayer in this assembly. So let's pray together now. Lord, thank you that you've blessed us with life. Many of the men and women here probably have come with a lot on their plate, a lot of responsibilities, both here and at home. Lord, I pray you'll direct their steps and guide their way. Thank you for the leadership of these men. I thank you for Joseph. Thank you for Trey. And Lord, I especially pray for our governor. And Lord, I ask that you enable us to have a unity of mind and heart for the common people of this great state. And Lord, we love you and we thank you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Very good. She's going to take it right here. Come on, right here. Get in here between all these politicians. Welcome here anytime.
Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Close the machine, Madam Clerk.
There's a quorum present, Mr. Speaker.
We will have the reading of the journal. The gentleman from Rankin, Representative Powell, moves we dispense with the reading of the journal. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Report of select committees.
We have none, Mr. Speaker.
Report of standing committees.
We have reports on the counter, Mr. Speaker.
Introduction of bills and constitutional amendments. Gentleman from Harrison, Mr. Haney.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I ask unanimous consent to dispense the reading of the introductions.
Is there objection to this? Hearing none, Mr. Clerk, we will follow that procedure. Resolutions, petitions, memorials, and other papers.
We have none, Mr. Speaker.
Introduction of guests and visitors. Gentleman from Hines, Mr. Nelson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have two introductions. The first one is going to be former House member, District 66 Rep, Commissioner Dekeita Stamps. Welcome back. Don't get too comfortable up there.
Welcome, gentlemen. Good to have you here.
All right. And my second introduction, if you turn to the North and South Gallery, you'll see some amazing people up there. If you listen to Southern soul music, then you have to give credit to them. So please make them feel welcome.
Welcome. Gentleman from DeSoto, Mr. Eubanks.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, if you'll look into the North Gallery, we'd like to welcome Melanie Weishart here. She's the Assistant Professor of Music and Coordinator of Music Therapy for William Carey University.
Welcome. Gentleman from Faulkner. Gentleman from Marshall, Mr. Faulkner.
Thank you, Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, joining us today to celebrate Southern Soul here in the state of Mississippi. I have a list of friends, and as I call your name, please stand and be recognized. My good friend and radio partner, Danny Lewis of Danny Lewis Entertainment is here. We have Ayanna Childs, Krishanda Miller, Bree Wooten, Jay Shanae, Dre Walker, Clovis Wright, Jones, Dollar Bill, Jake Carter, Steve Smooth, Lady Trucker, O. Emmons, and the legendary one himself, Mr. O.B. Buchanan. Make him feel welcome.
Gentleman from Clay, Mr. Gibbs.
Introduction.
Yes, sir.
I see my good friend up there, O.B. Buchanan. He's my favorite blues singer and have him at all of my parties. Let's make him feel welcome.
All right, welcome. Friend of yours, a friend of mine, gentlemen. Glad to have him here. Lady from Madison, Miss Ford.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd just like to introduce my number 4 grandchild, Patton Ford. His siblings went to chess camp today, and he said he would rather go to work with Bebe. And I said, this is really where the real chess match is played. So I thought that was a wise decision on his part.
We're glad to have you, young man. Good to be here. Good for you to be here. Welcome to you. Gentleman from Bolivar, Mr. Sanders.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Among all those entertainers up there, I had the distinct pleasure of looking in the audience, and if I'm not mistaken, I see my very own DJ from Bolivar County, Mr. Vince Roberts. Let's make him welcome.
All right, welcome. Gentleman from Hines, Mr. Banks.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the recognition. I'd like to ask the House to help me make welcome to South Gallery, a gentleman who has been in charge and promotes the Jackson Music Awards, the Jackson Gospel Awards, and some of the other things. On the very back against the wall, Mr. Jesse Thompson, great citizen, great man here in Hines County. Jesse!
Welcome. Gentleman from Hines, Mr. Brown.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of this body, I would like to go on record saying that I'm the only one in this audience, Southern blues singers, that work at the flagship station for Southern blues in Central Mississippi. That is 90.1 WMPR. Welcome.
Welcome. Gentleman from Hines, Mr. Nelson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would like to ask all of the Southern Soul artists to please stand to be recognized.
All right. Welcome to you all. All right, I believe the chairman rules. We have a special guest to recognize, and I will recognize the gentleman from Rankin.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, in the North Gallery, along with Representative Porter and Representative Massengill, we have Dwayne McGee, and we are commending him upon being named 2024 Mississippi Truck Driver of the Year. So let's all give him a round of applause.
Congratulations, gentlemen. Good to have you here. Appreciate what you do. We know Representative Massengill could drive a big truck. Well, I don't know if Darrell Porter could drive a big truck or not, but we'll let him be in the pick anyway. All right. At this time, our head page, Alicia Gibson, will introduce our pages for the week.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Pages, please stand. William Spivey from Jackson, Zach Mills from Madison, Orlando Griffin from Jackson, Addison Anderson from Vicksburg, Luke Bilbo from Oxford, Takiria Marshall from Clinton, Kennedy Banyard from Clinton, Pranavi Badula from Madison, Henry McPhillips from Jackson, Vincent Young from Columbus, Caroline McPhillips from Jackson, Eliza Cavender from Holly Springs, Sophie Allred from Holly Springs, Jillian Breland from Brandon, Jaria Fulton from Greenville, Ariana Davis from Greenville, John McKay from Lena, Khalees Taylor from Clinton, McKinley Moffitt from Hickory Flat, Laura Catherine Rum from Hattiesburg, Mary Catherine King from Hattiesburg, Connor Johnson from Tupelo, LeBron Johnson Jr. from Tupelo as well, Panavi Budula from Madison, Abby Birch from Hazelhurst, Jemiah Willis from Ridgeland, Jackson Terry from Jackson, and Brian Washington from Jackson.
Let's give them all a round of applause. All right, we will go to the calendar. Concurrence, non-concurrence calendar. Gentleman from Tate, Mr. Lamar.
Mr. Speaker, on the concurrence, non-concurrence calendar, item 5, House Bill 920, I'd move to invite conference.
Gentleman's motion is to invite conference on item 5, House Bill 920. If you favor the gentleman's motion, indicate by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The ayes have it. Gentleman from Union, Mr. Creekmore.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On item 6, House Bill 1474, we do not concur and invite conference.
Gentleman's motion on item 6, House Bill 1474, is to invite conference. If you favor the gentleman's motion, indicate by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The ayes have it. Gentleman from Marshall, Mr. Kincaid.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Item 14, House Bill 1637, we move to concur.
All right. You'll come to the well. Yes, sir. Gentleman from Marshall, you're recognized to explain the changes.
Yes, on House Bill 1637, known as the trespass bill that we did last year, actually, and we had to come back this year and kind of clean up some of the language. The language being that the restitution component went straight to the landowner, and that's not constitutional. We have to make it go to the agency, the state of Mississippi. So that was a change in it. So the other part of the bill stays the same. All the fishing restitution, still goes to the landowner, but that's the description of it, changes.
Questions of the gentleman? I don't see any. He moves final passage. Open machine, Madam Clerk. If you favor the concurrence, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 116 yeas, 0 nays. Motion prevails. Motion to reconsider calendar. You still on the concurrence calendar? Yeah, most people punch their button and get recognized and they come down. You know, I don't know what this means. Y'all come on down. Gentleman from Grenada, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to go to item number 9, House Bill number 565, and recognize the gentleman from Hancock County to explain the concurrence position.
All right. Gentleman from Hancock's recognized to explain the changes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chairman. This is the law enforcement bill with minimum standards. All the Senate did was add in there that an agency or department has a right to an appeal as well. That's an explanation of the change, Mr. Speaker.
Questions regarding the changes?
Motion to concur.
I don't see any. He moves to concur. Open machine, Madam Clerk. In favor of the motion, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote 118 yeas, 0 nays. Motion prevails. Next item, gentlemen.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. House, item number 10, House Bill 623. I want to explain move to concur and have an explanation.
All right. You're recognized to explain the...
Thank you. Our position as to paragraph 1, this is on indigent council compensation. Our position was $5,000 and we compromised at $3,000. That's an acceptable amount for representation in circuit court, and $6,000 on capital cases. And the members of the chamber, members of the House, this hasn't been changed in 45 years. And I met with Chairman Hobson, and he agreed that we needed to increase it, may increase it again next year. That's an explanation.
Questions of the gentleman? I don't see any. Open machine, Madam Clerk. If you favor the concurrence, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By vote 110 yeas, 0 nays, the concurrence motion prevails. Lady from Madison.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to go to item number 2 on the motion to reconsider calendar, Senate Bill 2271, and reconsider the vote by which it passed the House for purpose of an amendment.
All right. Lady moves to consider the vote with regards to Senate Bill 2271.
Thank you. I'd like to...
If you favor the lady's motion, indicate by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The ayes have it. The bill's back before us, lady.
Thank you. I'd like to recognize the gentleman from Hines.
Gentleman from Hines is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I have the amendment.
You're recognized to explain your amendment.
Awesome. Thank you. First, the amendment does 2 things. It removes the reverse repealer that's in the bill. And then secondly, it clarifies the language related to the line of credit. The bill, as the Senate sent to us and represented to us, erroneously created a line of credit from the Working Cash Stabilization Fund. But instead, what we need to do is increase the amount that can be transferred from the working cash that is currently capped at $2 million during any fiscal year to $5 million. Additionally, the amendment caps the amount of matching funds that can be transferred from the working cash to the Disaster Assistance Trust Fund to reflect the 25% match for FEMA, which is used in times of federal disaster, and that increases that amount to $10 million. So we're still back to the $10 million that was originally presented. And that, Mr. Speaker, is an explanation of the amendment. And I'll yield for any questions.
Questions on the amendment? I don't see any. Question occurs on the adoption of Amendment 1. If you favor the amendment, indicate by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The ayes have it. Anything further on the bill, gentlemen?
No, sir. Move final passage.
Seeing no questions, he moves final passage. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. If you favor the bill, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By vote 118 yeas, 0 nays, bill passes. Rules calendar, he passes. Brings us down to the general calendar. Apportionment and elections. Gentleman from Covington, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Go to item number 1. Senate Bill 2654, called up, make usual motion.
Gentleman calls the bill up, moves the rules be suspended, the bill considered engrossed, read a third time, and placed on final passage. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Gentlemen, I see you got a committee amendment.
Yes, we have a strike all to be considered in lieu of the original bill.
All right, you're recognized to explain the strike all.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Strike all does a few different things. I think most of you have been supportive of everything that it does. First, it inserts into this bill the language that passed out of here unanimously regarding in-person absentee voting that would allow those people voting in the circuit clerk's office to cast their ballot by the OMR machine, which is the same thing that people use on election day, and would significantly speed up the voting process. The circuit clerks are in support of that. The other thing it would do, it would add an excuse for people to vote absentee for people who are caregivers of elderly or disabled people or parents of young children who anticipate that their caring for that person will prevent them from voting on election day. And then the third thing it does is create a study committee this summer to meet regarding early voting. I know that's something that some of you are in support of and some of you are opposed to. At this point, it does not have the support, I don't think, to pass this chamber, and certainly not the support to override a veto. So this is moving in that direction, would put together a study committee of people from this body, the Senate, Governor's Office, Secretary of State, Circuit Clerk, and Election Commissioners. And that is a description of the strike all, Mr. Speaker, and I'll yield for any questions.
Questions on the strike all? Gentleman from Jones, Mr. Scoggin.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Do you yield?
Yes, sir.
I missed what you said. What is the time frame for the early voting?
This is not early voting.
Okay. Then, did you say that the circuit clerks were in support of your amendment?
They're in support of. I haven't asked them about all provisions of the amendment, but the main part of the provision would make their in-person absentee voting easier.
Okay.
And they're in support of that. Yes.
Thank you.
I don't see any further questions, gentlemen.
Move adoption.
He moves adoption of the strike all. Question occurs on the adoption of strike all amendment 1. If you favor the strike all, indicate by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The ayes have it. Anything further on the bill, gentlemen?
Move final passage.
Seeing no questions, he moves final passage. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. If you favor the bill, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By vote 105 yeas, 7 nays, bill passes. Universities and colleges. Gentleman from Jones.
Yes, sir, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to ask for unanimous consent to pass and retain its place on the calendar, but also I'd like to have it read for the third time.
All right, we will do that. Youth and Family Affairs. Gentleman from Sunflower, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would like to ask unanimous consent for Senate Bill 2661, if we would skip it and move it to the heel of the calendar.
To do that, we simply skip it. We will honor your request. Do you have another item on the calendar?
Yes, sir, Mr. Speaker. If I could have the unanimous consent from my colleagues to skip to number 21 on the general calendar and take up those two that we have left.
All right, we're down to item 21. I hear no objection. We will move to item 21, Senate Bill 2452.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to call up Senate Bill 2452 and make the usual motions.
Gentleman calls the bill up, moves the rules be suspended, the bill considered engrossed, read a third time, and placed on final passage. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. You recognize, gentlemen, to explain the bill.
Also, Mr. Speaker, I have an amendment at the proper time.
All right. You want to offer your amendment now? You're recognized to explain your amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The amendment to Senate Bill 2452 just adds a reverse repealer to it. There will be some more conversations had on it as it goes to conference.
All right. I don't see any questions on the amendment. Question recurs the adoption of Amendment 1. If you favor the amendment, indicate by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The amendment's adopted. You're recognized for any further explanation on the bill, gentlemen.
Yes, Senate Bill 2452, there proposes an amendment to Section 931165 of the Mississippi Code, and what this bill will do, it creates a presumption that child support continues past the age of majority for a child that is incapable of taking care of themselves. If that child is incapable of self-support due to a disability, and that disability must take place when that child is a minor. If the court can order continued support if the child's disability prevents them from living independently, and if the child is not a long-term patient in any Mississippi state-operated facility. The court also may modify existing orders regarding custody, visitation, medical expenses, and other related matters to the child's health and welfare that it deems necessary. And that is an explanation of the bill. And I yield for any questions if there be any.
Questions on the bill? Gentleman from Washington, Mr. Hines.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Gentleman, yield.
Yes, sir, gentleman.
Is there a time certain when the support will end?
Yes, sir. If that child, if the court determines that that adult can take care of themselves and provide for themselves, they can order that all support ends.
So it's quite natural that a parent who would normally stop paying child support at the age of 21 could be paying child support till they die. Am I understanding that correctly?
If you have a child that is not able to take care of themselves and they are disabled while they are a minor, then the court can determine that there's a responsibility to take care of a disabled child if they are not they are not in any state facility.
So will the child be receiving any form of disability from the state or the federal government?
The court can consider if there are any public benefits that that child may receive that could be included in the court's determination.
So on its face value, this sounds okay. However, but what happens if now I'm gonna say that question later. I'll save it for later.
Yeah. Thank you, gentlemen.
Gentleman from Jefferson, I'm sorry, he passes. Lady from Lincoln, Ms. Curry.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Will the gentleman yield?
Yes, ma'am.
I think the concern with the special needs parents on this is not that they don't want to support their child, but let's say you have they've split up and the dad is paying child support. If they lose their Medicaid, they won't get Medicaid waiver. They won't get any kind of special needs of vehicle that they need. If they lose Medicaid because of their income, they lose all of their support that they need. And I believe that is the concern. And I believe that there's going to be cases where surely a dad would help anyway, or a mom if it's reversed. But I'm scared to death that we're about to take all of the support they'll need for the rest of their lives away from them.
Well, that would be a good concern. But here is where that concern could be meted. In the courts can determine whether or not they can continue, even if they are receiving those public benefits.
A court will determine how much child support is going to be paid, but they don't look at, oh my goodness, well, if we pay child support, they're not going to get Medicaid. I've never heard of that. I'm not a lawyer, but I don't foresee that happening.
Okay,
I just would be very careful with this bill.
Well, thank you for your opinion, and thank you for your question. Any other questions?
Gentleman from Madison, Mr. Blackman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Gentlemen, do you yield?
Yes, sir.
I think that the spirit of this bill is very good, but I do have some concern about how would a child be determined to be disabled? Like, would there be if this person already receives a disability check from the government, would it then be presumed that they are disabled for the purposes of receiving adult child support?
If the disability existed while the child was a minor.
Right. And so I guess a judge would then be tasked with determining at some hearing whether or not a person meets, I guess, the standard for disability for the purposes of this bill?
If when they become the majority at 21, if they are incapable of living on their own, they do have the option to continue that support with the non-custodial or custodial parents.
Okay, and you say continue the support, and so then that brings this into mind for me.
Sure.
So if, let's just say that a child has not been on child support, or a parent has not been paying child support, they have not been ordered to pay child support previously. Now they're 21 years old, they have a disability, would the parent then be able to go and file for the first time for child support for that child?
It is my understanding with this bill, they would go through normal procedures as any other non-custodial parent would to determine if the child is able to receive child support or should receive child support.
Okay. And so child support can start, under this bill, child support can start for the first time for someone who is disabled, even though they're an adult?
If they have not received child support before.
Okay. And the standard, again, the standard for receiving support, continued support under this bill, is that they cannot take care of themselves?
They cannot live independently.
Is there any way that we, or that this committee could come together and maybe make it a little bit more clear what a judge would need to look for in order to award child support under these circumstances? Because I think my problem with it is that, there are a lot of people who get disability checks from the federal government. All of them, their disability or level of disability may be in question. And so, if a person is receiving a disability check from the government, they turn 21, can they then go and say, well, I can't take care of myself, as evidenced by the fact that I was already on disability? And then is this something that the courts would have to deal with and try to decipher whether or not this is a person who genuinely cannot care for themselves, or a person who is, maybe gaming the system a little bit?
Thank you. And that is one of the concerns, as well as the concern that the lady from Lincoln had, that we're going to address as this bill goes forward. That's why we put a reverse repeal in it, because there are some concerns that some may have in it. And we'll be glad to address those in conference.
I definitely support the idea of providing additional support for disabled adults, but I don't know that I can support this in its current form. But thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen.
Gentleman from Jefferson, Mr. Harness.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Would the gentleman yield?
Yes, sir, gentlemen.
Now, gentlemen, first thing I want to tell you is that my nephew, I have an autistic nephew, severely autism, and we all take care of it. We all take care of that child. Now he is turning 21. Now my brother has 4 other children. Okay. Do you think that this is going to be an undue burden for someone such as himself?
Well, I mean, he had the children. Am I not considered Am I not right? He did have the children, right?
He has 4 other children.
He has 4 other children.
Right.
Right. And if he has children who are disabled and they are not able to take care of themselves once they reach 21, then there should be.
But clearly, he's not able to take care of himself. But now my brother's children are getting college age.
Yes.
So not only is he having to pay child support, but he's also having to pay for college expenses. One at the University of Alabama, Birmingham, one at the University of Alabama. These expenses get pretty tough on them. So is there anything as far as the equal protection clause in this bill? Are you familiar with the equal protection clause?
That is not in this bill.
Okay, this bill seems to single out why some parents are singled out, parents with disabilities versus other parents. You think you can have a legal problem with this bill?
Well, would you not agree, gentlemen, that those children who are born in this world that are disabled, they didn't ask to be disabled? Children who are born in this world who don't have any disabilities, they didn't ask to be born in this world. And so it is incumbent upon parents, whether custodial or non-custodial, to take care of those responsibilities because we had them. They didn't ask to be in this world.
Gentlemen, I clearly understand. Like I just told you, my nephew is severely autistic.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I clearly understand that.
Well, I'm answering the question that you asked me. It is a burden, but it's also a burden, gentlemen, on children who are healthy.
Okay,
I have 2 children now that I'm supporting in college.
Okay.
That's a burden. But I had them, and they're my responsibility.
Does this bill define disability? What threshold would the judges use? What kind of, is there anything in place for the judges to use to make that determination in this bill?
The court may also modify existing orders regarding custody, visitation, medical expenses, and other matters related to the child's health, maintenance, education, and welfare. The court can or cannot order continued support if the child's disability prevents them from living independently, or if the child is not a part of a long-term health care system operated by the state.
Okay, but what standard would the judges use?
The same standard that they would provide for determining child support for any non-custodial parent.
Okay. And at what point would the judge be able to make a determination whether a modification is suitable for this child?
It'd be during the normal process, the hearings that they have.
All right, thank you, gentlemen.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Gentleman from Marshall, Mr. Faulkner.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Gentlemen, you yield?
Yes, sir.
With this bill, you mentioned the modifications can be made by the judge.
Yes.
Under current law, the non-custodial parent is the one who pays child support. Is that correct?
Yes.
So is there anywhere in the bill where during the modification process, let's say whatever the amount of support is that amount shared between parents, or is for the non-custodial parent as it moves forward?
That's totally determined up by the courts. It doesn't. This bill does not determine that. The court will make that order.
So the court would decide. Well, now, say for example, if I'm paying $1,000 a month, for example, of child support,
yes,
the judge can make an order after the age of 21 of the child that now I would pay $500 and the mother would pay $500.
If the child is not able to live independently or take care of themselves, the court can make that modification.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Gentleman from Adams, Mr. Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Would the gentleman yield?
Yes, sir.
Gentlemen, I understand the import of the bill, and I think you should be lauded, and the people for taking care of disabled kids. The problem is that, would you agree with me, this bill, as it says in the title, creates a presumption which means that when a child reaches the age of majority, instead of the way the court works now, the court has discretion to make that determination. You have to come in court and say why your child shouldn't continue to get support passed majority. Isn't that correct?
Yes.
And so we're creating a situation where you're forcing a parent that may have justifiable grounds to come in and go against a child when they not necessarily have to. When the way the law works now, you tell me if I'm wrong, is that could be a determination made by the court based on evidence that they put forward.
What I am presuming here in this bill, what I am saying in this bill, is that any child who is disabled as a minor cannot take care of themselves at 21, then the court has the ability to continue that child support for that non-custodial parent.
Well, they can do that now. What your bill does is say that regardless of whether or not the court makes that decision, if he was disabled as a minor, he continues to get child support until somebody says no.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah, but right now he can continue to get child support by order of the court if the court makes that decision, which we leave in the judge's hands, which is the way we do it now, which everybody comes in court and say, look, judge, there's no presumption. We just want to ferret everything out and show you that this child continues to need support, and the judge can do that. But what you, in your bill, that they don't get a chance to make that decision. That decision is made for them by us under the law right now.
The court still has to determine, gentlemen. They still have an opportunity to go in and adjust any modifications. The court can make modifications to that.
What the judge has, tell me if I'm wrong, what the judge can do is say, no, he can't. Because the law is going to say, yes, he can, no matter what. Your title says it. It says
I understand
a presumption.
what the title says. This is what the bill is saying.
Your title says a presumption is created, which means that the court doesn't have any discretion unless somebody comes and say, Judge, I want you to do away with it. And that puts an unnecessary burden on a parent that really cares for their child.
That's not absolutely correct, gentlemen. The court can order, as I said before, continued support if the child's disability prevents them from living independently. The court may also modify existing orders regarding custody, visitation, medical expenses, or other matters related to the child's health, education, or welfare.
Well, gentlemen, I've read the bill and I look at the bill. That is not the way. That's not the way presumption works. Mr. Speaker, at the proper time, I have a motion.
All right. I don't know what your motion is, so I don't know when the proper time is.
I have a motion to table the bill.
All right. You making that motion now?
Yes, sir, I am. Thank you.
All right. Those opposed have 5 minutes. Board's lit up. I'll recognize the chairman to respond to the motion before I put it.
The reason why we put a reverse repeal in is because there were questions. I read the bill also. I'm the chairman of the committee. And so we have explained it. We have given answers to the questions that we've had. And we will continue further discussion on it. That's why reverse repeal is in it, because we will go to conference on it. And we can address any questions then that you may have.
Seeing no one else seeking recognition, gentleman's motion is to table. If you favor the gentleman's motion, indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. No. House is not voting. The House is not voting. If you favor the gentleman's motion to table, indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. No. Noes have it. Noes have it. Anything further on the bill, gentlemen?
No, sir.
All right. Gentleman from Washington, Mr. Hines, for what purpose?
Don't worry about it.
He passes. Gentleman from Union, Mr. Creekmore.
Introduction out of order.
I'll get right to you. Gentleman from Madison, Mr. Blackman, for what purpose?
Just brief, friendly interrogation.
Further interrogation. Gentlemen, do you yield?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, gentlemen. Listen, I want to vote for this bill, and I will vote for the bill if you can tell me that when it goes to conference, you will consider putting in a provision that would require a person who is supposed to be disabled have some type of confirmation from a doctor or something that confirms that this person is indeed disabled to the extent that they are unable to care for themselves, similar to what a court would do if you went to court and you wanted a guardianship over a person or a conservatorship over another person. You would have to have 3 letters from a doctor within 30 days of the hearing attesting to the fact that this person needs a conservatorship or guardianship. That would make this, a lot easier for me to support because I think that it would reduce the likelihood that this would be used as a loophole for someone to continue to get child support, although they don't necessarily need it or wouldn't otherwise be entitled to it. Is that something that you think you can consider?
I understand, gentlemen, and I'd be glad to work with you on that.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right. I don't see any further questions. You have a question, gentleman from Oktibbeha, Mr. Taylor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Chairman, friendly interrogation, do you yield?
Yes, sir.
2 questions.
Sure.
Is, at age 21, is there a trigger to automatically get them in front of the judge to determine the ability to take care of themselves? And the second question is, can that happen after the age of 21? Say the person is delayed, but over time, maybe when they're 30 years old, they become fit to take care of themselves. Can they be seen at that time?
This only address if the disability happens when they are a minor.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
This bill only address if the individual, if the child, if the disability happens when they are a minor.
Yes, I do understand, but past the age of, so what I'm understanding is at age 21, they could be determined to be fit or unfit.
Yes.
Is there a process where after the age of 21, can they be determined to be fit or unfit?
Not in this bill, no, sir.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen.
All right. I don't see any further questions.
Move for final passage, Mr. Speaker.
Gentleman moves final passage. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. If you favor the bill, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 69 yeas, 38 nays, the bill passes. You have further work, gentlemen?
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, let me get to some announcements here. Gentleman from Union, Mr. Creekmore.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On behalf of Representative Stevenson and myself, I'd like to welcome a former classmate from New Albany High School, Mr. Sean Johnson, in the South Gallery, now the Director of Tourism for Cleveland.
Welcome, gentlemen. Gentleman from Montgomery, Mr. Oliver.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I think myself and many members of the House here are growing concerned. I noticed a gentleman from Harrison up on the podium with you as he exits now. Has he defected? Is he seeking asylum in the House chamber?
Gentlemen, everybody wants to be in the House. Y'all treat him kindly back there. Gentleman from Oktibbeha, Mr. Taylor. He passed. Gentleman from Bolivar, Mr. Sanders.
Introduction, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen of the House, you look to your South Gallery. I have some distinct visitors here today, and I've got about 3 introductions I want to make. And first, I'm going to start with Delta State and Dr. Ennis and Michelle Roberts, if they stand. And also from the Grammy Museum, we have visiting with us today Emily Havens, Anna Patrick Havens, Cassie Weeks, and Jack McWilliams. And from the Cleveland Bolivar County Chamber of Commerce, we have Hannah Guzzi, Sean Johnson, Summer Lovett, and Crystal Cooper. Let's help make them welcome.
Welcome to you all. Good to have you here today. All right, gentlemen, you're recognized for further work.
I'd like to call up Senate Bill 2771 and make the usual motions.
Gentleman calls the bill up, moves the rules be suspended, the bill considered engrossed read the 3rd time and placed on final passage. All in favor say aye. Opposed no.
And there is a
the
strike
ayes
call.
have it. And gentlemen, I see you've got a strike call. You're recognized to explain the strike call.
Yes, sir, Mr. Speaker. In this, Senate Bill 2771 revises the timeline for permanency hearings in youth court. These permanency hearings must take place within 3 months of either the adjudication of the abuse or neglect or the child's removal from their custodial parents. And then the court must continue those permanency hearings 3 months, every 3 months thereafter. And that is an explanation of that bill.
Questions on the bill, on the strike all?
On the strike all, yes.
I don't see any. Question occurs on the adoption of strike all amendment 1. If you favor the strike all, indicate by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Anything further on the bill, gentlemen?
No, sir. Move for final passage.
He moves final passage. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. If you favor the bill, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By vote 117 yeas, 0 nays, the bill passes.
Youth and Family yields.
Thank you, gentlemen. It takes us back over to Judd B at item 4, I believe. Gentleman from Grenada.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to have that item read for the third time and maintain its place on the calendar.
All right. Business and Commerce. Gentleman from Rankin.
Mr. Speaker, concerning item 5, I'd like to skip that item and send it to the heel of the calendar.
All right. Judd A.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Item number 6, I would like to skip it and hold its place on the calendar.
Transportation at item 7. I don't see him. Public Health. Gentleman from Union.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would like to skip item 8, have it read for the third time, and maintain its place on the calendar, and bring up item 9, Senate Bill 2741. Make the usual motions.
Gentleman calls the bill up, moves the rules be suspended, the bill considered engrossed, read a third time, and placed on final passage. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Now, so you got an amendment, gentlemen?
Yes, sir.
You want to explain your amendment now, or?
I'd like to have the gentleman from DeSoto explain the amendment and the bill, please.
All right, gentleman from DeSoto, you're recognized to explain the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Copy of it? Okay. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, Senate Bill 2741, we had an amendment in committee. There was some concern in committee that some of the activities listed on lines 51 through 57 would put those practicing any of those in a situation where they could possibly be criminalized or placed under the proposed board. We don't think that was the intent of the author or the music therapist. What this does is it slightly changes the bill to a title protection bill in a sense that what it would do is it only applies to you if you sell yourself or bill yourself as a licensed professional music therapist, and that is a description of the amendment. I can read.
Questions on the amendment? I don't see any. Question occurs on the adoption of Amendment 1. If you favor the amendment, indicate by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Anything further on the bill, gentlemen?
Yes, sir. A description of the bill. Senate Bill 2741 establishes the licensure requirements for professional music therapists in Mississippi. It outlines the qualifications, duties, and regulations governing music therapy practice under the State Department of Health. We know that music has real psychological, mental, emotional, and physical effects, and when used in a therapeutic setting has real evidence-based positive outcomes. This bill seeks to legitimize the practice as well as set forth a framework for its governance. I can break the bill down real quick for you. Section 1 speaks to the intent and reason for the bill. Section 2 deals with the definitions. Section 3 is the formation of the advisory committee, which would have an executive director who is the executive director of the Mississippi Department of Health or his or her designee. It'll have 3 members that will be licensed music therapists in the state. 1 member shall be a licensed healthcare provider that is not a music therapist, and 1 member shall be a consumer of music therapy. There's no compensation, just reimbursement for expenses. Section number 4 speaks to the duties of the advisory committee. Section 5 describes who is governed by the committee. Section 6 is the practices and duties of the therapist, basically their scope of practice. It outlines that. Section 7 is the qualifications for licensure. Section 8 deals with license renewal. Section 9 outlines the board's disciplinary actions of licensees. Section 10 states the fees will be set by the board. 11 deals with codification, and 12 states when this act will take effect. And that is a brief description of the bill. I yield for any questions.
Lady from Lowndes, Ms. McLean.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have an amendment at the proper time.
Okay. You can be coming forward with that. I see one more question. Gentleman from Hines, Mr. Brown.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. It's ironic that today I was listening to MPR, Mississippi Public Radio. One of the guests was a lady advocating musical therapy as a treatment for various ailments, and they said this is the new trend. So I just want to compliment you on the fact that you're right on time with it, because I just heard it today where it's better than medications.
Thank you, gentlemen.
This particular route.
Yes, it's non-invasive.
All right, I don't see any further questions. I recognize the lady for her amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Does Madam Clerk have a copy, lady? You're recognized to explain it.
Yes, I'd like to amend this bill by adding licensure for midwives, and that's an explanation of the bill.
Questions? Questions of the lady on her amendment? I don't see any. I'll recognize the chairman to respond.
We have no objections, Mr. Speaker.
I have so many questions, but I'm going to refrain. All right. Question recurs to the adoption of Amendment 2. If you favor the amendment, indicate by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The ayes have it. I'm sorry. I call it like I hear it. Anything further on the bill?
I move final adoption.
He moves final passage. Open machine, Madam Clerk. If you favor the bill, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By vote 110 yeas, 4 nays, the bill passes. We're going to play music when we're having babies. All right, that brings us down to item 20. Chairman of Judd A. Gentleman from Choctaw. His hair's getting big. He's ready to go.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House. Item number 10, Senate Bill 2328. I'd like to have it read for the third time and ask for unanimous consent to skip and hold its place on the calendar.
All right, we will do that.
I'd like to call item 11, Senate Bill 2787 up and make the usual motion.
Gentleman calls the bill up, moves the rules be suspended. The bill considered engrossed read the third time and placed on final passage. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Now, see, you got an amendment, gentlemen?
Yes, sir, Mr. Speaker.
All right, you want to explain your amendment?
Yes, sir, Mr. Speaker. We have a typo in this bill. Basically, what this does is there's a repealer on it, and it's going to expire this year. The draft version we had said it would repeal on 2021, which is a typo. So my amendment says it'll repeal, that it should be 2025.
Madam Clerk needs a copy of your amendment, please, sir. Does that conclude your explanation?
And that, yes, sir, Mr. Speaker.
Right. Seeing no questions on the amendment. Question occurs on the adoption of Amendment 1. If you favor the amendment, indicate by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. You're recognized for any further explanation on the bill.
We passed a version of this bill earlier. Basically what it does is creates penalties for individual that sends a false statement with regard to a patent infringement. It's set to expire this year. We're just going to extend it another 3 years, and that's an explanation of the bill.
Questions on the bill? I don't see any.
Final passage.
He moves final passage. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. In favor of the bill, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By vote 113 yeas, 0 nays, the bill passes. Public Health, gentleman from Union.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Item 12, Senate Bill 2729, I'd like to skip and retain its position on the calendar.
All right, we will do that. State Affairs. Down to item 13. Gentleman from Jackson, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, I'd like to go to item 13, Senate Bill 2210, call it up and make the usual motion.
Gentleman calls the bill up, moves the rules be suspended, the bill considered engrossed, read the third time, and placed on final passage. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. You're recognized, gentlemen.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, Senate Bill 2210 simply extends the sale or the season that you can legally sell fireworks by a total of 2 months. Those specific dates will now be May 23 through July 12 and December 5 through January 9. In addition to extending the season, it also adds some criminal penalties for violation thereof. That explains my explanation.
Question on the bill. Gentleman from Hines, Mr. Bell.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Gentleman, you yield.
Yes, sir.
What's the reason for extending the fireworks sale?
Just to allow kids to have more time to enjoy the fireworks. I'm sorry?
You ever experienced fireworks in the city?
I'm sorry?
Have you ever experienced fireworks in the city?
Yes, sir.
Would you agree with me that sometimes it goes on a little longer than it should?
If it does, they can call law enforcement and they can enforce it and
they don't work,
execute the penalties. And
thank you, Jim.
Yes, sir.
Gentleman from Jones, Mr. Scoggin.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. You yield?
Yes, sir.
You said it changes the penalties. In the previous bill, it's a felony if you sell outside that time frame. Did we change that to a misdemeanor?
The first violation is a misdemeanor, gentlemen. The second violation is a misdemeanor, but the third violation will be a felony.
Okay. But the first two are misdemeanors?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Lady from Lincoln, Ms. Curry.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Will the gentleman yield?
Yes, ma'am.
So we had talked about weddings and birthdays and just the spirit of capitalism. You know, why do we limit the sale of fireworks to just 2 special months?
I think it has a little bit to do with just the nuisance part of it and making sure that you can't sell and use fireworks all year round. I think that's pretty much it, lady.
And you know other states do it.
All year round?
Oh, yes, sir.
I did not.
We need to check on that because if we have a big party and want to have fireworks, it may not be in those months. It may be in February or March or April.
Good point, lady. Something to look at.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Gentleman from Hines, Mr. Brown.
Gentleman Yield.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Gentlemen, I have to go along with my colleague there, Mr. Bell. What about the older people, or the frail people, or the sick people who these firecrackers, particularly with the magnitude of some of them now, how powerful they are, just scares them to death?
Gentlemen, and it's a balancing act just like anything else, and that's why we extended the season just for a total of 2 weeks, 1 week on the front end and 1 week on the back. So we are limiting it instead of like other states where it's all year round.
Don't the cities, municipalities, in cities around the state regulate fireworks already?
They would regulate the law enforcement part of it, gentlemen.
I can't hear you.
They would regulate the law enforcement part of it.
So they would?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
I don't see any further questions, gentlemen.
Final passage, Mr. Speaker.
He moves final passage. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. If you favor the bill, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 95 yeas, 16 nays, the bill passes. Next item, gentlemen.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to go to that next item, Senate Bill 2383, call it up and make the usual motion.
Gentleman calls the bill up, moves the rules be suspended. The bill considered engrossed read the third time and placed on final passage. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. You're recognized, gentlemen.
Mr. Speaker, please recognize the gentleman from Chickasaw to handle the bill.
Gentleman from Chickasaw is recognized to handle the sweet potatoes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senate Bill 2383 is simply the companion bill, the one we passed here a few months back. The language is exactly the same. We plowed a lot of ground that day, and I don't know how much deeper we can dig on this issue, but with that, that is a brief explanation of the bill, and I pause for examination.
There's been an inquiry of the chair. Did anybody ever find Willie Bailey's sweet potato? They never found it.
We did not find it. I tried to rectify the situation today. I brought him one sweet potato. I prorated the interest rate on said sweet potato, and it equaled about 3, so we got him 3 sweet potatoes today.
One became 3, so the gentleman has been made whole. Okay, we're good. He gonna eat them tonight. Very good. Gentleman from Jefferson, Mr. Harness, for a question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Would the gentleman yield?
Yes, sir.
Gentlemen, when you bake a sweet potato, do you peel it or do you eat it with the hull? You peel it before
Personally,
you eat it?
I do not. I take the peeling off of mine. Something's got to hold that cinnamon butter in.
Yeah,
all
I'd
that
rather
goodness.
eat
Yeah, you
it
got to
whole.
keep it in there.
Yeah, me too. I'd rather not peel it myself, gentlemen. All right,
Thank you for your question.
Gentleman from Hines, Mr. Banks.
Gentlemen, just a question for information purpose. For my good colleague from here in Hines County, can you tell me what the relationship may be between a sweet potato and a blueberry?
I don't even think they're third cousins.
Okay, God, I know the gentleman has a problem with blueberry. I want to make sure there's no relationship to blueberries.
None whatsoever.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
for
you.
me and Mr. Bell.
Gentleman from Washington, Mr. Hines.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Jimmy Hill.
Yes, sir, of course.
How many taters does it take to make a pie?
Depends on how big the pie is.
What's a good sized pie?
It also depends on what size the tater is, because you get some jumbos, you can make them out of about 2 or 3.
So I need about 3 jumbos to make a good tater tie.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Gentleman from Oktibbeha, Mr. Taylor.
Gentlemen, I've been having a family debate for the last 15 years. Is there a difference between sweet potatoes and yams?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yams are mostly grown in Brazil, South America. They're kin, but if you're eating something here and calling it a yam, chances are it's a sweet potato.
Okay, so there is a fundamental difference between sweet potatoes and yams.
There is. They're both subspecies of the tuber family of vegetables.
That's right. So I have an aunt. Her name is Electris Fenton, who cooks yam patties and passes them off as sweet potato pies. So you're saying, I want her to hear it. So you're saying that she's been passing off yam patty pies for sweet potato pies all this time?
Should not happen.
Now, I'll vote for your bill if you can sing the song. It's time to get to the yams.
I don't know the sum. I'm not familiar. I'm sorry.
Okay, you're gonna have to Google in the singlets at some point in time, but good bills, Joe.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Lady from Humphreys, Miss James Jones.
Thank you, gentlemen. Do you yield?
Of course, lady.
I think in a couple of weeks we will soon have the St. Patrick's Day parade, and oftentimes there are plenty of sweet potato queens in the city. Could you tell me if the sweet potato queens are in support of the state potato being the sweet potato?
I haven't talked to any of them, but I can only assume they'd be on board.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Gentleman from Hines, Mr. Banks, for further interrogation.
One final question, gentlemen.
Yes,
Can
sir.
you tell me here in the state of Mississippi, what county grows the best sweet potatoes and why?
Well, why would be because of the dirt, and so it wouldn't be particular to one county. So Calhoun County and Chickasaw County, there's a plague through there that has the same sandy soil that sweet potatoes love. It makes them sweet, juicy, and delicious. So I would say those two.
Those two, okay. All right, one. Now leave it alone. Leave it alone. Leave it alone.
I don't see any further questions, gentlemen.
Move for final passage.
He moves final passage. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. In favor of the bill, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By vote 118 yeas, 1 nay, the bill passes. Next item, gentlemen.
Mr. Speaker, that next item is item 15, Senate Bill 2869. I'd like to call it up and make the usual motion.
Gentleman calls the bill up, moves the rules be suspended, the bill considered engrossed, read the third time, and placed on final passage. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. You're recognized, gentlemen.
Mr. Speaker, please recognize the gentleman from Panola to handle the bill.
Gentleman from Panola is aptly equipped to handle this bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I got an amendment at the proper time.
All right. You may explain your amendment.
The amendment is just putting a reverse repealer in here so we can change some language to match our new direct ship laws. That's my explanation of the amendment.
Questions on the amendment? I don't see any. Question recurs to the adoption of Amendment 1. If you favor the amendment, indicate by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The amendment's adopted. Anything further on the bill, gentlemen?
This bill is a companion bill of House Bill 1284 that we've already passed, 93 to 10. It's just adding craft distillery and craft spirits to our language, and it allows our distilleries to have one off-site tasting room that they're not allowed now. That's my description of the bill.
Questions on the bill? Gentleman from Rankin, Mr. Newman.
Is this bill about whiskey or about ghost?
Whiskey is never mentioned. Spirits are mentioned.
Okay.
I don't see any further questions, gentlemen.
Move for final passage.
He moves final passage. Open machine, Madam Clerk. You favor the bill, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 97 yeas, 10 nays, bill passes. Next item, gentlemen.
Mr. Speaker, that next item is 16, Senate Bill 2555. I'd like to go to and make the usual motion.
Gentleman calls the bill up, moves the rules be suspended, the bill considered engrossed, read the third time, and placed on final passage. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. You're recognized, gentlemen.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, Senate Bill 2555 simply will allow our native wineries to have one off-site satellite location as long as it's located in the original, in that county. That's pretty much all it does.
Questions on the bill? I don't see any, gentlemen.
Final passage.
He moves
Mr.
final
Speaker.
passage. Open machine, Madam Clerk. If you favor the bill, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 99 yeas, 10 nays, the bill passes. Anything further, gentlemen?
Mr. Speaker, with unanimous consent, I'd like to skip over and go to item 30, Senate Bill 2851.
All right.
I'd like
Hear
to go.
no objection, we're there.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, Senate Bill 2851.
Need to call it up, gentlemen.
I'd like to go to that bill, 2851, call it up and make the usual motion, and it is a strike all.
Gentleman calls the bill up, moves the rules be suspended, the bill considered engrossed read a third time and placed on final passage. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Gentlemen, you are recognized to explain your strike all amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, Senate Bill 2851 is for our universities and colleges. It will allow them to sell spirits at these club level seating that we have, in addition to the locations in the stadiums where you have the personal storage of your beer and spirits. That's an explanation of the bill.
Questions on the strike all? I don't see any. Question recurs to the adoption of strike all amendment 1. If you favor the strike all, indicate by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Strike all is adopted. Anything further on the bill, gentlemen?
No, sir. No, sir.
Seeing no questions, he moves final passage. Open machine, Madam Clerk. If you favor the bill, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Just keep looking. Has everyone voted? Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 95 yeas, 15 nays, the bill passes. Anything further, gentlemen?
Yes, sir, Mr. Speaker. That next item, 32, Senate Bill 28.
Sorry.
31, Senate Bill 2822. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to have that bill read for the third time.
All right.
Okay, thank you. If I may go to the next item, item 32, Senate Bill 2267, call up to strike all and make the usual motion.
We'll call up the bill first. Gentleman calls the bill up, moves the rules be suspended, the bill considered engrossed read a third time and placed on final passage. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. And gentlemen, I see you've got a strike all. You'll be recognized to explain your strike all.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, this bill is very similar to the original House bill that we had concerning cloud storage. This bill will require ITS to come up with a study or a game plan to implement cloud storage to allow for the data exchange between agencies. So it's very similar to our bill. Our bill mandates cloud storage. This is making ITS come up with a study and implement the recommendations to finally get to cloud storage, in addition to what is the best way to share data between the state agencies. That's an explanation of the bill.
Questions on the strike all? I don't see any. Question recurs on the adoption of strike all amendment 1. If you favor the strike all, indicate by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Anything further on the bill, gentlemen?
Final passage, Mr. Speaker.
He moves final passage. Open machine, Madam Clerk. If you favor the bill, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? That's everyone voted. Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 116 yeas, 2 nays, the bill passes. Anything further, gentlemen?
Yes, sir, Mr. Speaker. The next item, which is item 33, Senate Bill 2143, call it up and make the usual motion.
Gentleman calls the bill up, moves the rules be suspended, the bill considered engrossed read a third time, placed on final passage. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Gentlemen, I see you got a strike all.
Yes, sir.
You are recognized to explain that strike all.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, the strike all, this is the qualified resort annual bill that we take up. It does have a reverse repealer, so we will be going to conference. I know that 2 or 3 of you have some language that you want to put into this. Just make sure you get with me sometime during the conference report weekend, and we'll be happy to take care of you. That's an explanation of the bill.
Questions on the strike all? I don't see any. Question recurs on the adoption of strike all amendment 1. If you favor the strike all, indicate by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Anything further on the bill, gentlemen?
Final passage.
He moves final passage. Open machine, Madam Clerk. If you favor the bill, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 102 yeas, 9 nays, the bill passes. All right, we will go back to where State Affairs skipped from. I believe that'd be item 17. And the Chairman of Gaming.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Go to item 17, Senate Bill 2510. Call it up and make the usual motion.
Gentleman calls the bill up, moves the rules be suspended, the bill considered engrossed, read the third time, and placed on final passage. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Gentlemen, I see you got a strike all.
Yes, sir.
You're recognized to explain the strike all.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, this Senate Bill 2510 has some new penalties dealing with these offshore illegal sites, dealing with mobile sports betting and gambling, iGaming. And basically what we did, we took their language and it makes it a felony, punishable by 10 years in prison, $100,000 fine. That's sections 1 through 3. In sections 4 through 8, I inserted Mississippi Mobile Sports Wagering Act and put our mobile language back in it. It's still tethered to a bricks and mortar casino. It's still got the geo-comply language in it, and it still has the protection for those under 21 years of age. That's the explanation, Mr. Speaker.
Questions on the strike all? Gentleman from Madison, Mr. Blackman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Gentlemen, do you yield?
Yes, sir.
Can you tell me again what's going to be a felony under this bill?
So, basically running an online or a book, a race book, a sports book, illegal one.
A sports book?
Right.
Okay, I see. So like shooting dice, that's not going to be a felony under this?
I don't believe so. I don't have the exact answer, but I don't believe shooting dice
This is only online. I'm going to be honest, I was listening, but I really started listening after you said
so like
felony,
Bovada, like these offshore accounts that are doing between 200 and 800 million in our state, this would give the Gaming Commission some teeth to go after them. Right now, it's a $500 fine. They send them a letter. They don't even respond to the Gaming Commission.
Understood. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right, I don't see any further questions on the strike all. I'm sorry, gentleman from Adams, Mr. Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Gentleman, yield.
Yes, sir.
On the felony, who gets prosecuted? The offshore company or the person, a person in Mississippi?
The company
engaged?
gets prosecuted. It's not a felony for you to place an illegal bet,
okay,
but it's the company.
So how do we prosecute a company that's outside of our jurisdiction?
Well, I guess that would be up to the prosecutor and the Gaming Commission to locate these people and.
Well, if they're not located in the state of Mississippi, I don't know any law that allows us to prosecute them. I mean, this is not a federal law. This
But
is
we
a state
also
law.
have a lot in state as well running
Okay.
these.
So you're looking at companies in state who run illegal betting.
Correct.
Okay, thanks.
All right, I don't see any further questions on the strike all. Question recurs on the adoption of strike all amendment 1. If you favor the strike all, indicate by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The ayes have it. Anything further on the bill? Questions on the bill? Gentleman from Harrison, Mr. Felsher.
Gentlemen, yield.
Yes.
So we have these mobile sports betting here, and then the initial bill from the Senate. Is there any titlings in here?
Not in this bill.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen.
Yes, sir.
All right, I don't see any further questions on the bill.
Move final passage.
He moves final passage. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. If you favor the bill, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 82 yeas, 19 nays, bill passes. Next item, gentlemen.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Go to item 18, Senate Bill 2381. Call it up, make the usual motion.
Gentleman calls the bill up, moves the rules be suspended, the bill considered engrossed, read the third time, and placed on final passage. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. You're recognized, gentlemen. I see you've got a strike all.
That's correct. I'd like to recognize the gentleman from Hancock.
Gentleman from Hancock's recognized to explain the strike all.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chairman. Basically, on the strike all, we took the House bill, the titling in mobile gaming that we passed earlier this year, and inserted our language back into this Senate bill. That's the explanation of strike all.
I said mobile. Questions on the strike all? I don't see any. Question recurs on the adoption of strike all amendment 1. If you favor the strike all, indicate by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Strike all is adopted. Anything further on the bill, gentlemen?
Final passage.
He moves final passage. Open machine, Madam Clerk. If you favor the bill, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 106 yeas, 3 nays, the bill passes. Brings us down to Medicaid. Lady from Forest.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to ask unanimous consent to have item 19, Senate Bill 2867, skip for today but retain its place on the calendar and also be read for the 3rd time.
All right, we will do that. Public Health at item 20. Gentleman from Union.
On item 20, Senate Bill 2748, with unanimous consent, I'd like to skip it, have it read for the 3rd time, and remain its spot on the calendar.
Okay. Gentleman's requested to skip it and hold its place and 3rd time. And I do believe, council's correct me on this, you don't need unanimous consent for it to hold its place. You simply need to make the request. So that's for the body, not just for you. Brings us down to item 23, and accountability, efficiency, and transparency. Gentleman from Pike, Mr. Porter.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Items 23 through 27, I'd like to request that they be skipped and retain this place on the calendar and be read for the 3rd time.
You got it. Thank you, gentlemen. Gentleman is requesting items 23, 24, 25, 26, and 27 all be read for the 3rd time and retain their place. Corrections at item 28. She passes. Education passes. One last bill, Judd A, maybe. Item 34, he passes. Local and private. Gentleman from Wayne, chairman's recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to go to item number 1, House Bill 1645. Call it up and make the usual motions.
Gentleman calls the bill up, moves the rules be suspended, the bill considered engrossed, read the 3rd time, and placed on final passage. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. You recognize, gentlemen, to explain the bill.
This bill is just allowing the city of Philadelphia to make a $10,000 contribution to the Philadelphia Transit.
We don't see any questions. Move final passage.
Move final passage.
Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Has everyone voted? Has everyone voted? Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 111 yeas, 0 nays, bill passes. Next.
Go to item number 2, House Bill 1650. Call it up, make the usual motions.
Gentleman calls the bill up, moves that the rules be suspended, the bill is considered engrossed, read the 3rd time, placed on final passage. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. Ayes have it. Gentlemen, you're recognized to explain the bill.
This bill is allowing Coahoma County to use portion of their trust fund to repair the county-owned federal building. I'll yield for any questions.
I don't see any questions. You move final passage?
Move final passage.
Open the machine, Madam Clerk. If you vote aye if you're for it, nay if you're against. Has everyone voted? Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 113 yeas, 0 nays, bill passes. Next.
Go to item number 3, House Bill 1654. Call it up, make the usual motions.
Gentleman calls the bill up, moves as the rules be suspended, the bill considered engrossed, read the third time, placed on final passage. All those in favor say aye. All opposed, no. Ayes have it. Gentlemen, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This bill is just allowing the city of Pascagoula to extend their tourism tax on restaurants. I'll yield for any questions.
I don't see any. You move final passage?
Move final passage.
Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Has everyone voted? Has everyone voted? Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 108 yeas, 4 nays, bill passes. Next.
And go to item number 4, House Bill 1658. Call it up, make the usual motions.
Gentleman calls the bill up, moves that the rules be suspended, the bill considered engrossed, read the third time, placed on final passage. All in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. Ayes have it. Gentlemen, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would move we adopt the committee sub in lieu of the original bill.
Okay. You want to explain the committee sub?
Yes, sir. We just had to adjust the repeal date.
I'm sorry.
We were just adjusting the repeal date.
Okay. Okay, that's an explanation of the committee sub. All those in favor of the committee sub, say aye. All those opposed, ayes have it. Move final passage on the bill.
Move final passage.
Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Has everyone voted? Has everyone voted? Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 110 yeas, 1 nay, bill passes. Gentlemen.
Next item is item number 5, House Bill 1708. Make the usual motions.
Gentleman calls the bill up, moves as the rules be suspended, the bill considered engrossed, read the third time, placed on final passage. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. Ayes have it. Gentlemen, you're recognized. We have a committee sub.
Yes, sir. Move we adopt the committee sub.
Go ahead and explain your committee sub.
The committee sub, again, was just adjusting the repeal date. This bill allows Kemper County to make a $5,000 contribution to Philadelphia Transit.
Okay. You've heard the explanation on the committee sub. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. Ayes have it. Gentlemen, we're on the bill.
I'll yield for any questions. Move final passage.
Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Has everyone voted? Has everyone voted? Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 115 yeas, 0 nays, bill passes. Next.
Next item is House Bill 1717. Make the usual motions.
Gentleman calls the bill up, moves that the rules be suspended, the bill considered engrossed, read the third time, placed on final passage. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Ayes have it. Gentlemen, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This bill is allowing the town of Mize to extend the repeal date on their restaurant tax.
I don't see any questions. Move final passage.
Move final passage.
Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Has everyone voted? Has everyone voted? Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 110 yeas, 1 nay, bill passes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Next item is item number 7, House Bill 1777. Call it up, make the usual motions.
Gentleman calls the bill up, moves that the rules be suspended, the bill considered engrossed, read the third time, placed on final passage. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Ayes have it. Gentlemen, you're recognized.
Thank you. This is the same bill we had last year. They had poor turnout at their referendum, and so we're going to give them another try this year. Hopefully with all the 7s in the House bill number, they'll have better luck. Move final passage.
Will you yield for questions?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Scoggins from Jones.
Yes, sir. Gentlemen, you yield?
Yes, sir.
just making sure all these that we're doing that are new, that we're not just doing the repealer, they all have referendums associated with them?
Correct.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Banks, Hinds County.
Thank you, sir. Gentlemen, if you would, because I live next to Richmond, I dine there sometimes. What is the tax going up to, or is remaining the same?
So they're getting an additional 1% on restaurants and then an additional 2% on hotel motel.
An additional 1% over what it is now. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, I don't see any other questions. Move final passage.
Move final passage.
Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Has everyone voted? Has everyone voted? Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 108 yeas, 2 nays, bill passes. Next.
Next item number 8, House Bill 1801. Call it up, make the usual motions.
Gentleman calls the bill up, moves that the rules be suspended, the bill considered engrossed, read the third time, placed on final passage. All those in favor say aye. All opposed, no. Ayes have it. Gentlemen, you're recognized.
House Bill 1801 is just allowing a contribution from Sunflower County to the Ministerial Alliance Counseling Service of $40,000 plus a match of any local contributions they receive. I'll yield for any questions.
I don't see any questions. You move final passage?
Move final passage.
Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Has everyone voted? Has everyone voted? Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 111 yeas, 2 nays, bill passes. Next.
Next item is number 9, House Bill 1809. Call it up, make the usual motions.
Gentleman calls the bill up, moves that the rules be suspended, the bill considered engrossed, read the third time, placed on final passage. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Ayes have it. Gentlemen, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This bill is just extending the City of Senatobia's hotel, motel, and restaurant tourism tax.
I don't see any questions. You move final passage?
Final passage.
Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Has everyone voted? Has everyone voted? Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 110 yeas, 1 nay, bill passes. Next.
Next item is item number 10, House Bill 1827. Call it up, make the usual motion.
Gentleman calls the bill up, moves that the rules be suspended, the bill considered engrossed, read the third time, placed on final passage. All in favor say aye. All opposed, no. Ayes have it. Gentlemen, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This bill just makes a simple change to how the earnings component of the City of Oxford's trust fund is calculated. It moves it to a 12-quarter rolling average. I will yield for any questions.
I don't see any questions. You move final passage?
Final passage.
Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Has everyone voted? Has everyone voted? Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 114 yeas, 0 nays, bill passes. Next.
Next item is number 11, House Bill 1891. Call it up, make the usual motion.
Gentleman calls the bill up, moves that the rules be suspended, the bill considered engrossed, read the third time, placed on final passage. All those in favor say aye. All opposed, no. Ayes have it. Gentlemen, you're recognized. You have a committee sub?
Yes, sir. Move we adopt a committee sub.
You're recognized to explain the committee sub.
The committee sub is just extending the repeal date for the Hancock County Tourism Development Bureau and hotel motel tax.
Okay. I don't see any questions
Final passage.
on the committee sub. The committee sub is before you. All those in favor say aye. All opposed, no. Ayes have it. Back on the bill.
Final passage.
Final passage. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Has everyone voted? Has everyone voted? Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 109 yeas, 1 nay, bill passes. Next.
Next item is number 12, House Bill 1936. Call it up, make the usual motion.
Gentleman calls the bill up, moves that the rules be suspended, the bill considered engrossed, read the third time, placed on final passage. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Ayes have it. Gentlemen, you're recognized.
This is just a repealer bill for the town of Como's hotel, motel, and restaurant tax. Yield for any questions.
I don't see any questions. You move final passage?
Final passage.
Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Has everyone voted? Has everyone voted? Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 110 yeas, 1 nay, bill passes. Next.
Next item is number 13, House Bill 1959. I'd like to call it up and make the usual motions.
Gentlemen, do you have a conflict with this bill?
I'm not back there to vote, Mr. Speaker.
You move. Gentleman calls the bill up, moves that the rules be suspended, bill considered engrossed, read the third time, placed on final passage. All those in favor say aye. All opposed, no. Ayes have it. Ayes have it. Gentlemen, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is just extending the repealer on some assessments for misdemeanor convictions that's being used to fund our county justice complex. There's also some language in there that they let this expire last year, and so this has got some language that'll let them still use the money that was taken in last year.
Okay. I don't see any questions. You move final passage?
Final passage.
Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Has everyone voted? Has everyone voted? Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 113 yeas, 0 nays, bill passes. Next.
Last item, Mr. Speaker, is item 14, House Bill 1953. Call it up, make the usual motions.
Gentleman calls the bill up, moves that the rules be suspended, bill considered engrossed, read the third time, placed on final passage. All in favor say aye. All opposed, no. Ayes have it. Gentlemen, you're recognized.
This is a nearly identical bill as the last one that had so much heartburn over, except this is for Union County to do capital improvements with.
Union County. Okay.
Move final passage.
I don't see any questions. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Has everyone voted? Has everyone voted? Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 113 yeas, 0 nays, bill passes. Local and private yields the floor.
That's the end of it. I think. All right, that concludes our calendar work. Announcements, Madam Clerk? She has no announcements. Announcements by the members. Gentleman from Jones, Mr. Scoggin.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On today's calendar, general calendar, item number 9, Senate Bill 2741. I'd like to hold it on a motion, please.
All right, please notify the chairman. Lady from Harrison, Ms. Crawford.
On today's general calendar, item 21, Senate Bill 2452, I'd like to hold that on a motion.
Yes, ma'am.
And
please notify the chairman.
I have another request.
All right.
Mr. Speaker, a request on yesterday's calendar, on general calendar 39, Senate Bill 2573. I'd like unanimous consent to change my vote from yes to present, please.
Is there objection? Hearing none, change the lady's vote. Gentleman from Harrison, Mr. Haney.
Mr. Speaker, as bad as I hate to, but yesterday's calendar, item 39, Senate Bill 2573. I'd like to hold it on the motion and reconsider.
Gentlemen, isn't that your bill?
I said it was, yeah, that's my bill, Mr. Speaker.
You was for it. You was for it, and then you was against it.
It's the people's bill. It's the people's bill.
All right. All right. Notify yourself. Gentleman from Lamar, Mr. McCarty.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to go to, on today's calendar, item 29, Senate Bill 2618, and have that read the third time.
Thank you, gentlemen. We'll do that. Gentleman from Neshoba, Mr. Bounds.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On the general calendar today, item number 9, Senate Bill 2741, with unanimous consent, I'd like to change my desk mate's vote, the senior gentleman from Pike, from yes to no.
Is there objection? Change the gentleman's vote.
And thing adjourn in memory, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen of the House, if you will, ask you to join me in adjourning in memory for Dustin Pope. Dustin was the flight nurse that was on one of the helicopter yesterday, was a constituent of mine, and lived in Neshoba County. And I'd ask that we adjourn in his memory, and the entire membership be added, and if no one wants to, go to the clerk and notify them.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you for reminding us of that. Certainly a tragic loss for our state, for his family and community, and those others that we lost. We should remember them. Let's have a moment of silence and remember them. Thank you, gentlemen. It's a tragic reminder of the roles that they play and the jobs that folks do that nobody else does, and put themselves in harm's way for us and our well-being. And our first responders are certainly the top of that list. We appreciate you reminding us of that today, and certainly I think the entire body would like to join you in the adjourning memory. Gentleman from Union, Mr. Creekmore.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On today's calendar, item number 12, Senate Bill 2729, I'd like to have it read for the third time.
Thank you, gentlemen. Gentleman from Oktibbeha, Mr. Robertson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is an announcement. We will be having a wedding shower for Tyler Jones tomorrow in 201H. This is right after lunch. Come by and get some dessert and well wishes to Tyler, and bring a present for him. So come join us.
Thank you, gentlemen. Gentleman from Tishomingo, Mr. Carpenter.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Us poor people that live at the trailer park down there, tomorrow night we're going to have a little party. If you guys want to join us, starting about 5:30.
Last guy that tried to come, gentlemen, they said you threw a stick of firewood at him.
I don't know what you're talking about, Mr. Speaker.
That's just what your neighbor told me. All right. Thank you, gentlemen, for the invite. Gentleman from Bolivar, Mr. Sanders.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Announcement.
Yes, sir.
Delta State, the Chamber of Commerce, and the Grammy Museum is asking us to join them this afternoon at Delta Happy Hour there at the rooftop at 200 North Congress Street.
Thank you, gentlemen. Lady from Humphreys, Ms. James Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Asking a unanimous consent to change my vote. This is item number 17 on today's calendar, Senate Bill number 2510, from present to yes.
There's no objection. Change the lady's vote. Gentleman from Rankin, Mr. Yancey.
Adjourn in memory.
Yes, sir.
I'd ask that the House adjourn in memory of Mr. Wes Breeden, a 55-year-old man in Rankin County, died of a heart attack yesterday, worked for a Ryder truck, leaves behind wife and a 22-year-old son. So, ask you.
Thank you, gentlemen. We will do that. Gentleman from Hines, Mr. Brown.
Adjourn in memory, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. House members, I would like for us to adjourn this evening in honor of Louise Woodruff, an outstanding community activist as well as a socialite, graduate of Lanier High School, passed away at age 87.
Thank you, gentlemen. We will do that. Gentleman from Hines, Mr. Gibbs.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Adjourn in memory.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to adjourn in memory of our United States veteran James M. Ballard Sr. He is the brother-in-law to Mike Espy and brother to Portia Espy. Would like the House to join in memory on their behalf.
Thank you, gentlemen. We will do that. And certainly we honor our veterans. We thank you for bringing that one to our attention. Gentleman from Hines, Mr. Bell.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Adjourn in memory.
Yes, sir.
Adjourn in memory of a good friend of mine's mother, Miss Burnell B.J. Wells. She passed away last week, and I want to adjourn in memory of her. She was a very uplifting woman and great spirit. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. We will do that. Gentleman from Prentice, Mr. Turner.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Adjourn in memory.
Yes, sir.
I'd like for the House today to adjourn in memory of Mr. Bobby Williams. He was one of the pillars of the community in South Mississippi and one of the great entrepreneurs of all time. So if you would, please adjourn in his memory today. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. We will do that. Gentleman from DeSoto, Mr. Hale.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We would like to let everybody know today, speaking on the first responders, we'll have a first responder lunch on Thursday, room 113, from 11:30 on.
Very good. Thursday, room 113. Gentleman from Tippa, Mr. Stevenson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On today's local and private calendar, item number 3, House Bill 1654, that's be the Pascagoula local and private. We need to hold that on a motion, let it percolate a little bit.
Yes, sir. Please notify the chairman. Gentleman from Mocktibbeha, Mr. Robertson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is an adjourn in memory. I had a classmate of mine, the class of 1987, Starkville High, that passed away today. Her name is Monetta Strong. I just ask that the membership keep her family in her prayers, and we adjourn in memory.
Thank you, gentlemen. We will do that. All right, I don't see any further announcements. I will recognize the junior gentleman from Jackson for the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move the House stand adjourned till 10 a.m. tomorrow.
Gentlemen, do you mean that? It's kind of a half-hearted adjourn motion. Gentleman from Jackson's motion is the House stand adjourned until 10 a.m. tomorrow. If you favor that motion, indicate by saying aye. Opposed, no. I knew it was a weak motion, but I do think the ayes have it. And y'all need to pay attention to the junior little gentleman from Madison, Mr. Patton Ford. He's going to adjourn us with the gavel when we adjourn. So I believe the motion prevails. The House will stand adjourned until 10 a.m. in the morning.